So please. Silent all around the line. If they get the chance, they were born in bloody circumstance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. Underground, given room to breathe, not but be drowned. So die if you get the chance. Better men than you've been, let this dance. To go, leave me, run like you've never run before. I've seen the worst, and there is nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me.
Good evening to those watching live. Hello to everyone else, or should that perhaps be Yakida? Welcome to the preview week for Scotland v Wales. We have a special guest with us. I'll introduce him later. Of course, this is the Scottish Rugby blog. The Scottish Rugby podcast, the legitimate love child of the Scottish Rugby blog. You know where to find us. We're part of the Sports Social Network. You know where to find us. You're here watching, listening, whatever. The usual places. And of course, we're also on Patreon. There will be a Patreon section at the end of this main pod. Things get a bit looser. The language gets a bit more liberal. As well as that, you get added to a Facebook group where you can ask us questions and stuff like that. There's additional content that is given to you for £3 a month that begins at, and you can go up to £5 as well. I'm not very good at this kind of patter, so we'll skip over it quite quickly. And I will introduce my guests. I'm Iain Hay, by the way. I think you know that already. I'm hosting tonight. Joining me, usual partners, one usual partner in crime, one new partner in crime, and one very special guest. That's the polite way of putting it. Firstly, Jonny McGinty. Hello, Jonny. How are we?
Hello, how are we doing? I'm all right. I've had parents' evening this week, so I'm like a half-shot knife, but I'm ready to go for this.
So, you've had a full week of critiquing, so you must be well prepped. Joining me as well, the Border Badger, Mark. Mark, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Hello to everybody out there.
And as I've alluded to already, our very special guest, one of social media's prime agitators when it comes to the rugby game. Like most of us, South Africans have ruined Twitter, so you can mainly find him on Blue Sky. He's from Wales. He lives in the south of France nowadays. Ladies and gentlemen, Monsieur Edward Leroy Jenkins. Ed, how are you? Thank you for joining us here.
Shemai Paub, salut tout le monde. Hope you're all right. Just to say thank you for having me on. I've been a big fan of the Thistle for years, so great, you guys finally have me on.
And so it begins.
So great, yeah, thank you.
As is tradition,
and I never knowingly agitate anything or anyone,
I mean, Ivory Coast Week is the highlight of the Six Nations for me.
What?
Ivory Coast Week.
What's Ivory Coast Week?
When you wind up them.
Right.
Ed, one of the typical questions.
That's a wind up. I'm just using the right flags. There's no more to it. I'll die on that hill. So let's just move on from that.
Okay, one question we ask all of our new people, Ed. If you were representing the Barbarians, what socks would you be wearing?
I'd be wearing Ferryside RFC socks. The club is now defunct, so I don't know if I could still get a pair of socks though. But they're red and white, so that'd probably be quite easy to get another pair of red white socks. So yeah, Ferryside RFC. I'm like the ferry.
Just get a Sharpie and do the logo on the stripes. That'll do you.
Yeah.
So obviously Ed is here to mainly talk about Scotland v Wales at the weekend. We'll quickly go through some results from the pro teams. Actually, firstly, congratulations to GHA. They've been promoted from Nat 1 as champions. They will be in the Scottish Premiership next year. Commiserations to Musselburgh, who have been relegated, and we'll move on swiftly from there. Celtic Challenge, the women's competition, that's not great results at the weekend. Glasgow lost at home 17-33 to the Brighton Thunder, which now puts Warriors at the bottom of the table. Edinburgh were beaten 18-60 at the Hive by Clovers of Ireland. They are, I think they're second in the league at the moment. The two Irish teams running away with that. Surprising results at the weekend for the male pro teams. Friday, Edinburgh went to Cork to play Munster rather than Tobin Park, and somehow, given how we've the inconsistency of Edinburgh has shone through, they won 34-28, and the scoreline actually makes it closer than it sounds. Mark, Edinburgh, where's that Edinburgh been all season?
Funnily enough, I had that written down as one of my hands in a ruck. Unbelievable. I actually joked that Edinburgh were cosplaying Glasgow on Friday, and little did I know that Glasgow would reciprocate. But they didn't just win; they won well and played some fantastic rugby. I watched the highlights again today just to kind of remind myself of the scores, and some of their tries were absolutely cracking. I mean, really good running rugby. And completely and utterly dominated in the pack with not quite their second string, but certainly not their first string pack. They basically had the Munster pack on casters for most of the game.
I think there was 8 scrum penalties. So it was, Munster obviously prided on their physicality.
Munster not that good, mind, to be fair. I mean, they put us away last weekend, but we were rubbish. So, decent win and that. But
I think the thing that might and possibly should concern Edinburgh is that the halftime score was 29-7 to Edinburgh. They only scored 5 points in the second half and let Munster come in with 3 converted tries, that would still worry me a wee bit because they were so dominant in the first half.
Yeah, and off the back of that as well, unfortunately, I mean, Luke Crosby lasted, I think, 15 seconds, if that. Somebody on one of our patrons, I think, said it was like 4 seconds first contact into, and that was his shoulder completely gone. Funny enough, the day after I was at the Air, who was the airplane? Air Edinburgh, Accies, yeah. Alex Maguire did the same thing, like 15 seconds straight off. Off the back of that, Matt Curry scored a hat-trick, and now he has been called up to the Scotland squad. Crosby's unfortunately had to drop out, but Matt Curry, Jonny, I mean, that was some performance from Matt Curry. I mean, even though we got 2 quite fortunate bounces of the ball and errors to capitalise on.
Yeah, and like the thing about a really good back is if something like that happens, you still have to be in the right place for it. And one thing that Matt Curry's done really well this season is he's shown that he's really, really good at reading the game. Like, a lucky bounce is a lucky bounce, but it's only a lucky bounce if you are on the end of it. And to do that, you've got to kind of have a rough idea of what's going on. Likewise, if you're going to capitalise on somebody's mistake, you've got to be there to do it. So, as much as people will say he's had the bounce of the ball or whatever there, he's still got to get himself into that position. So he's become a really sharp player this season. He's, I think, unfortunately for him, for the next couple of years, going to be the back version of somebody like Luke Crosby, who is a great player, but is in a position where Scotland are so stacked that it's going to be really difficult for him to break into the national team, because he deserves a little bit more of an opportunity. Like, it's nice to see him in the camp, and he deserves another look because he's had a great season. He's played really well, and he's shown himself to be a really smart player, a really physical player, just has all round been great. And I think if he was any other position than the centres, we'd probably be talking a lot more about him in the Scotland team. So it's a bit of a shame for him.
Yeah, that's one thing I thought as well. It's predatory instincts, and he's smart, but he's a big lad. You can be a big lad but not very clever, and that only gets you so far. See Ross Hughes, for example. Curry seems to have a bit more guile about him. Then we'll go on to the Glasgow Ospreys game. Glasgow snatching defeat from the hungry jaws of victory. 31-32 defeat at home. Scotland. First defeat since 2021 at home, I believe, in the league. They had been beaten by Munster a couple of years ago.
First time a team that's not Glasgow's ever scored 5 tries there.
Really nice little factoid.
Glasgow changed. I think they had 30, 35 players missing, something like that. And that was for context probably one of the Ospreys' greatest results of the last 5 years. So I think
I think me and you probably had quite a similar social media experience.
Yeah, like a bunch of sorry, looking for a word that's not a swear word now.
Well, this is like my hands.
I think you and I.
That's all right, isn't it?
In America, maybe. Yeah. I think it'll be PG. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's actually
Ed and I
would have had the similar story. Yeah, sorry. My hands on the rock is actually going to be that entitlement of people going, "That's a disgraceful result." It's like, lads, it's like the third 15. Come on.
Aye.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shock. You shouldn't be losing to that lot.
No, and Ospreys are very happy for it. So, fair play to them. Ed and I will have both seen it all over social media at the weekend. Like Ed says, they've been acting like they've won the Champions Cup, and they're obviously very pleased and good for them. Glasgow had 20 players in the Scotland squad, and a 23 out that had 4 hookers in it, and the one back on the bench didn't have a professional contract. But well done.
Exactly,
You beat them.
That's the thing with the Ospreys. Is the benefit of having so few players that are international class is that during the international windows, you get to field those kind of full strength teams. They've got a lot of all right club class players who can do a job, and other teams that I think that hurt the Scarlets a bit on last weekend is having considerable number of players away. I think probably would have put Ulster away with all our international class players. But Ospreys, fortunately for them, they don't have that problem. So it means that they can go toe-to-toe with weekend teams like Glasgow during the international window. And fair play for them. It's one way of compiling points, I suppose. But yeah.
Sadly for
The
them,
lack of honour.
it's a small window.
Yeah.
Mark, I suppose like the manner of loss was probably one of the most annoying things. I mean, Mull defence has been excellent over the last couple of years. 2 very simple Mull tries, and then 2 breaks by your man Kieran Williams. Both times he's found himself outside Jari Ogundebeju and done him like a kipper. Ben Afshar was kind of taking the blame for one of them. But then you've got that, and then you come back into it. You know, it's frustrating, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought I can see why Afshar was carrying some of the can of that. He fell off what should have been a gimme tackle. They were also coming up through the middle, but we had a fullback playing centre and a standoff playing fullback. You know, with that many guys papering over cracks, you're going to get people slightly out of position. And fair play, they took advantage of it. But to win it so spectacularly in the last minute, only to lose it 40 seconds later to complete cock up. Just
I think you just mentioned, what's the name of that young lock you got? He had a good game. He looks like a prospect.
Jari.
Yeah, he got stood up. He got stood up, like you said. But I mean, that was just a natural mismatch that, like any half decent back will take advantage of late in the game. Tired lock, but he was very busy. I thought he was good.
Yeah, he's only just signed his first official contract. No, he's been around a bit. I think he was at Edinburgh, and then he was down in England, and then he was in Bristol. Was that right? Ealing. Then he's been back up. He signed his first pro contract. He's been through some Scotland age grade stuff. But yeah, he signed his first pro contract with Glasgow there last week because other week against Dragons. I mean, right, it's only Dragons. But they'd started very strongly, and he really took the game by the scruff of the neck, I felt. You know,
he had a strong to lose as well, didn't he?
Yeah, too long.
I think you see
that 5 meter the 5 meter ball where he basically just like swam right through the middle of it and brought it down was unbelievable.
I think it's probably similar for Scotland in that when you see a lock with that kind of size and athletic ability, even if he's played about 3 games, you're like,
get him
excited because there's nobody else. I think we have a similar problem. Like
genuinely, a couple of weeks ago, I said like because of all the injured locks. Well, because of all the injured locks we had, I actually said we could probably use him in the Calcutta Cup, and just like for the size of him, you know, he's physical, he's aggressive, he's really good at smashing into rucks, and his work rate is outstanding as well.
At the time, we were talking about capping him against Wales because that was the gimme game, right?
Maybe he should probably be in the squad.
I know, right?
Well, we should probably skip on that because we've used 15 minutes, and I'm sure Ed's got a few things to say. And obviously, the main course is Scotland v Wales on Saturday. Ed, I'll open the floor to you slightly. I will set the tempo, and you can.
Should we perhaps start on that then? Because one thing I was looking at the 2 teams, and one thing that sort of stood out for me is that I think it'll be quite a fast game. I think it'll be an entertaining game to watch. I think that neither packs are particularly big or powerful, but both have got some good. I think actually perhaps a bit more dog in the Scottish pack, but a bit more athleticism in the Welsh pack. So yeah, I think it'll probably be quite an entertaining game, and it's probably strange for Scotland. It's a strange dynamic for the game because Scotland find themselves, you know, arguably, I think many people would say the greatest Scottish team of the last 50 years, something like that, or at least 30 years. Come in up against a Welsh side losing 15 games on the bounce at home, but yet, I think most people would say that Wales come into the game as favourites. So it's a little bit of a funny build-up in that sense. It's a little bit paradoxical. I don't know what you guys think about that.
The thing is, I think Wales have got a free roll of the dice here, right? So everyone's.
I think the pressure's more on Wales. I do think we come into the game as slight favourites. So I think there's an expectation now after last weekend. I mean, I was speaking to.
Have you been drinking English media juice?
No. I was speaking. I've been speaking to. I'm in a WhatsApp group with some Irish fans. You got to remember now. These people, they know their rugby, like the Inter Rugby World Cup. They're fans of the Inter Rugby World Cup world champions, and they know a thing or two. And they were all saying that the Wales game is by far the most difficult they've had so far and the best team they've faced. And I don't think they'd try and lull me into a false sense of security. They wouldn't do that to me, but. There's word going around that we are favourites for Saturday, and the evidence is building up. I think that if you look at the two teams, especially Wales have named they named the same 15 for the second game in a row for the first time since 2019. The team clicked quite well, and I think if you were to look at it, I know Scotland, a well-oiled unit, but if you look at it man for man in terms of individual quality, I think if you were going to do a combined 15, I mean, I don't know, I'd probably have probably 4 or 5 Scots in there, perhaps. I'm struggling a little bit, but yeah, I think we go.
Have you mistaken Hugh Jones' name again?
Hugh Jones, he must be Welsh. We'll take him.
I think Hugh Jones made the right career path. To be honest with you, I don't know how many caps he would have got if he'd have declared for Wales. I think he's clearly had a great Scotland career, and from quite humble beginnings. And when he first played for Scotland, I mean, let's face it, he was a little bit dodgy. I mean, he's come a long way, but I don't think he would have got past a handful of caps if he was trying to get into the midfield ahead of like Sir John Fox and whatnot, Scott Williams. But yeah, no, he's come on a bit.
He's got
come
the
a long
most
way.
desirable quality for really any player in any of our countries, though, which is that he loves playing against England. Like
he is good. He's hilariously.
He loves beating England.
He's hilariously good against England, like Van der Merwe is, and I think that's the thing that England from what I could see. Last weekend, their defence was quite passive, and they were giving them loads of space outside. And I think that's something we've got to fix this weekend. Yeah. I don't know how good our defence is going to be because you've got a very, very rookie back three and midfield.
I think the young lad, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he showed up pretty well.
Yeah.
It might be a different feeling to be in front of 50,000 howling Scots at Murrayfield with Duan steaming down your channel. That's
does Duan as Van der Merwe, like I'm trying to, has he ever really? He seems to really turn it on against England. I'm trying to remember if he's had any like incredible performances against us.
Scored against Wales last year.
Yeah, right. But I mean,
you remember
shortly after Wales at some point last year, so.
Shortly after Josh Adams cost Wales the game by throwing the ball away in a huff when Wales had a penalty, Duhan scored just after that.
That's right, because we were. That's right. That was the game. That was the crazy game last year, wasn't it? When we almost came back in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I won't be forgetting that one in a hurry. Yeah. My heart almost gave out.
I was sitting beside Grav from Rock and Roll at that game, and he said to me at half time, "I don't understand what we can do to make this more enjoyable." And I said hallucinogenics, and then within about 50 minutes of the second half, I regretted saying anything. I wish I just kept my mouth shut.
Yeah,
that trip.
I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be a one-sided game on Saturday. Whatever happens, I think it will be a quite entertaining game.
I feel annoyingly similar, actually.
I think it's got the possibility of being a mad game, to be honest.
Yeah.
Two sides going all out attack. If you score 4 tries, we'll score 5, kind of thing. So
And it genuinely should not be like that, by the way. Like this
No,
is
no,
how I
in
felt
an
about the
actual
Wales game 5 weeks ago. I'm annoyingly sitting next to Steph to Grav again this year, and I would really rather not be. Like, see, 5 weeks ago, I was like waking up every morning and being like, can't wait to see you in Murrayfield in a few weeks, and now I've gone like deathly quiet because this is not how I thought this was going to go.
That's the thing, Ed, right? I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of the Six Nations full contact and what our opinions on Gregor Townsend, who just seems to like suck all of the enjoyment out of rugby. And I feel like Warren Gatland is the same kind of character.
Well,
and now you've got rid of that like demon that was hanging over you. So like, is this a bright new dawn?
I mean, yeah, just full contact. I mean, I know what you mean. Gregor Townsend, I don't know if he's putting it on for the cameras. It's sort of very, very bland management speak, isn't it? I don't find Borthwick much better. They're mostly a bunch of boring. I was going to boring
individuals.
Boring, individuals. And like this, but Townsend, he doesn't come across as particularly inspiring, but it feels a little bit staged. I don't know.
Well, I
don't understand. Like, because I don't know what you guys are saying, but where you guys stand on this. But a lot of there seems to be a lot of negativity towards Townsend at the moment, which I find difficult to fathom, given that he's probably created the most successful Scottish team of the last, one of the most successful Scottish teams of all time. When you look at what he's achieved, it's incredible. You know, like his record of.
Don't come in here, Ed, and make me say that he's achieved nothing, all right? Because I will do it. I don't care.
No,
I'll tell you.
I mean, achieved nothing.
No, but percentage rise.
Everything in its context, right? Like for what he's achieved with Scotland. I mean, you know, you've beaten England. You've beaten Wales. You've beaten France.
Away.
You've beaten France.
I knew this was a bad idea. I really hoped you were going to say. I hoped you were going to say no. When I texted you and said, "Do you want to come on?" So you say you're always making a big deal about coming on. I really hoped you were going to say no, so I could hold it over your head forever. And now you haven't said no, and I'm extremely upset about this entire situation.
Well, when you invited me on, I had a whole sort of series of ideas of posts, a Blue Sky post lined up in my head about being disgruntled about it and creating a bit of beef. And then you invited me on. I was like, oh, he's actually invited me on now, so I can't back out now. It's really impractical as well. Like I'm leaving.
The old John
in the middle
Stewart
of my work day here, like trying to like tell you guys the reality of like of this fixture build up. But yeah.
The thing is, and like the annoying thing about it is, it's really good build up to what's going to be a really exciting fixture, right? Which we should all be excited about. Because we love a really good Scotland-Wales game. We love a nice bit of build-up. Like, it's usually quite good-natured, the Scotland-Wales build-up. And you're normally a bit like, oh, this could go either way. For the last couple of years, we certainly have been. It's going to be a really exciting game. All of that aside, like, until this tournament kicked off, we should have been battering Wales. Like, the build-up should have been us being like, oh, we'll get to rotate a little bit. And now we're 48 hours from kickoff and we're all absolutely terrified about what might happen. Like, this is about as Scottish as you could possibly get.
Well, I mean, I'm actually torn because I don't want to get carried away. You know, we did lose to Ireland at the end of the day, and it was a match we could have won. I think Aki coming on probably just changed that match totally. And if it wasn't for the absolutely disgraceful 20-minute red card decision, I think Ireland's slam would have already flown away into the skies. But part of me is I'm trying to hold myself back because part of me is saying that, like, I can't remember where I heard this, but I was listening to a podcast last week, Scottish, I think it was a Scottish podcast, and somebody was saying that Scotland basically put 40 points on England last week. I can't remember who it was. Did you hear that, Mark? Somebody said that Scotland basically put 30, 40 points on England last week, obviously without scoring the actual points. But like, this is a team capable of going to Twickenham and putting 40 points on England. What England ranked like third or fourth in the world? they've got some good players in that team. I'm thinking, hang on now, Ed, don't get too carried away because you're going up against a team that possibly ranks in the pantheon of great modern teams. So, I can't remember where I heard this, but it was I was quite taken aback, and it did have me a little bit intimidated. What do you think about that, Mark?
Well, first and foremost, I do remember the comment, and it wasn't actually me. It was Mr. Manson. Yeah. But
I knew there was a reason that he was all of a sudden busy.
Yeah, it's funny that. But I actually had England by 6 points before the game. But
right.
But I think.
But just to say that if there is arrogance creeping in, I understand, because a team that's capable of putting 40 points on England, obviously without actually scoring the points.
Capable of didn't mean achieved. All right, there's a difference there.
I think the problem is that the way it looked after 10, 15 minutes, you could easily see Scotland, if they had turned the screw and stamped on the neck.
I was not bothered at all
that
about the fact that
about how we work as a team, that we didn't do that.
The fact that try was never grounded, I didn't care at the time. See, at the time I was like, "There's no way that's gone down." But the way we're playing at the moment, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
And then by full time, I was like, "See that try."
Well, it kind of takes us back to what we were talking about, Townsend being management speak. I mean, we've spoken on here before, Ed, about Townsend's halftime PowerPoints.
Does he really do crackers on PowerPoint? Oh, yeah.
The point being, our performances seem to tank at halftime, and that's all we can figure. He's throwing up PowerPoints, but he's also the kind of guy that's talking through the slide. So he writes
reads every word.
He recites it line for line.
Does he have empowerment quotes about belief and stuff like that?
I suspect that's how his halftime talk goes, right? So we're trying to petition for somebody else to do the halftime talk against you guys, so we don't completely tank after 40 minutes are gone.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like our players are quite rejuvenated under Sherratt, so that's good to see. But I think we got to back it up now. I think there's expectation now that we should get 2 wins in the next 2 games. I think the England at home game, all jokes aside, I think that's a match that if we build on what we did last week, we should beat them, because they're not that good. They're really not up to much.
The question is whether your new coach bounce lasts 1 game or 2 games.
I think that the players are better than the sum of their parts over the last 2 years. I'm not saying they're a group of world beaters. They're not as good as the generation that came before them. The ceiling is definitely higher than what they're showing right now. And I think they're now playing with a style that actually suits them. There's a lot of footballers. There's a lot of pace in that back line. It's a lot of athletic. It's quite an athletic pack fit. We've got good handling skills. Cement ball, Warren ball, whatever you want to call it, was never going to work with that group of players. So, we might over the next 4 or 5 years not win any trophies with that group of players. We're certainly capable of being a sort of solid third-placed Six Nations team and getting the odd win against France and England. But we should certainly be looking to consistently compete and put away, the likes of Ireland and Scotland. I think that should be the minimum expectation.
Are Cardiff Blues the best Welsh region, Ed? Is that why Sherratt coming in's made such a massive difference? Because, obviously Gatland came from Ireland. We've spoken about what Ireland are like in a knockout game. Spent a bit of time at the Chiefs, who, as far as as much as Super Rugby is quote unquote rugby, you're not talking about the same level of intensity and competition. Now you've got a guy from the Blues who are obviously a massively historic, massively successful team, and he's kind of stepped it up a bit for Wales. So do you reckon that's all you needed all along was somebody from Cardiff to sort out?
Well, I mean, Cardiff, the way Cardiff play, they play nice rugby, but they're a bit of a banter side. Let's be honest. They don't back it up that often, but they do play nice rugby. I think they need a harder edge for that kind of brand of rugby to succeed at international level. which is hopefully why they won't pick too many Cardiff forwards. They got some tidy backs, so I think Ben Thomas, bless him, he's been so badly handled by Gatland, but he had a really good game against Ireland. I think he's potentially a top class international ball playing 12. So if they can get the best out of players like that and the pace they got in that back three as well, then who knows? We're never going to have a great platform, I don't think. I mean, we scrummed Ireland off the park for what it's worth, but
where did that performance from Wilgriff John come from?
Unless he's a really late developer, I don't know. Because it was miraculous. It was miraculous.
How much do you think it was?
Having said that, he was against Andrew Porter, and Andrew Porter was refereed. Andrew Diagonal Porter was refereed properly. Yeah. Have you seen the Irish media been crying? The
scrum coach.
they got a scrum coach. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in the papers complaining that it wasn't refereed properly. It's like, wait, the problem is that it was for the first time ever refereed properly. And Andrew Porter looked a mixture of confused and enraged to find out that there are apparently like rules for scrummaging all afternoon last Saturday. He's like, what is this? What do you mean there's things I'm meant to do? I can't just do what I want and get away with it. He was absolutely fuming.
And funnily enough, the previous time it was refereed properly was against the All Blacks during the World Cup. And see what happened there.
What a shame.
I know.
But who's Scotland's loose head on Saturday?
Scoop.
Pierre Schumann.
He's a far superior operator, I think, to Porter. I think that'll be a different kettle of fish. I mean, see if Wilgriff John can back it up against Schumann. That'll be a huge step up. So
I think Sutherland's a better scrummager, to be honest.
Either both of those will provide a much sterner test, I think, for Wilgriff John on Saturday.
It depends how it's ref, and the fact that the Welsh front row will have this phenomenal reputation after what they did to the Irish. The ref might tend to favour them, as happened to us against the English as well, and that'll be tough, right?
Yeah.
Who is the referee on Saturday?
No idea.
That I should have checked, but I've not.
Probably the same guy that did Glasgow Ospreys.
Where you look at that, right? Tell you what I think is the best, most intriguing position v position matchup. Jack Morgan v Rory Darge. You've got two guys there. Like open side is probably the hardest option to pick for legally mandated Lions chat. Obviously you've got Corner Boy, who's actually playing really well. Josh van der Fleer, who everyone loves. But Morgan, I mean, even in the tanking against France, Jack Morgan scored lots of points on fantasy rugby. So, I was glad that I'd selected him. Ed, I know he's an Osprey, but would you make a Jack Morgan?
I mean, his dubious club career choices aside, I think he's objectively speaking having an excellent tournament and seems like a good captain for the group, age profile wise, and in terms of what he brings. I was afraid that against Ireland that the back row would just be too unbalanced because you've got two out and out open sides really. As dynamic as they are, there was not much line out option there, but it went really well, and I think that will be important for us on Saturday because, like I was saying earlier, we've got to stop the ball getting quick ball to the outside channel and getting like guys like Hugh Jones and Van der Merwe in space. And part of that is going to be slowing the ball down. So I think Rafael will have an important role to play on Saturday, especially. With regards to Darge, was it Darge? Yeah. Is he one of your co-captains? Because you got about
Yeah.
How many co-captains have you got this week?
Two co-captains and not many vice captains. So.
What's that?
Oh, did you see England the other week? We had like two co-captains.
They had a vice captain on the bench.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So there's two co-captains, which is a process I do not agree with, to be quite honest. But yeah, it's Darge and Russell because he's injured.
It sounds like something from the school of Townsend leadership wang mumbo jumbo, doesn't it? Really, like
well, it's the same
co-captain
model that we played years ago before my hair was grey, when you had a captain usually in the backs and a pack leader. Simple as that. Now they're calling them co-captains. Whatever.
Gentlemen, we are now coming up to the. I'm going to have to wrap this up stage. Predictions.
You want to know who the referee is first?
Yes, please.
Sorry?
Yes, Johnny.
Everyone's favourite, Andrea Piardi.
Okay.
At least it's not O'Keefe again. Ben
Nick Berry is
16
one
penalties
of the
in a row.
Arsenal.
All right, we're not getting any TMO stuff. Right, so Johnny, prediction, please.
I don't want to.
Well, you've got like a minute and a half, so get on a bit.
Scotland by 7.
Cool.
Much closer
Mark?
than it should be.
Yes. Mark.
I think sensibly, yeah, Scotland by 5.
All right. Ed.
Sorry,
You know what? I'm going to go with Scotland. I think that we're actually going to buck our stuff up and do well. I'm going to go Scotland by 15. I think this is going to be our one good performance of the Six Nations because we've not played well against Italy. Ireland were shocking, and England was, yeah.
I think we played well against England.
Is there still a mathematical chance of you guys doing something? Is there still a mathematical chance it could be Scotland's year, or is that gone? I was wondering about motivation.
Apparently, yes.
About motivation of the team and what their morale might be like, given their prospects before the tournament versus what their prospects are now. Is there, because that could play a part. If Scotland still have a mathematical chance of winning the tournament, then I haven't looked at the table. Wait, I'm just looking at the table.
According to
You can't hurry up.
Look at the table. Wait there. Sorry. Go on.
He says there is a specific set of circumstances where Scotland can still win, but nobody believes it's going to happen. Obviously.
Yeah.
So it could still be Scotland's year. That's interesting.
So Pooper get off the pot.
I think it'll be 40. I think it'll be Scotland 31, and I think it'll be Wales 43, and I think that it'll be a crazy game, and Scotland will be attacking the Welsh line at the last minute to get a winning try, and Finn Russell will do something daft, and there'll be an interception, and Ellis, me, or one of them fast lads will go the other end and wrap it up.
Or
I think it'll be something like that. So. Yeah. I'm saying Wales by, was that 12?
You heard it here first.
No, sorry, what did you say, Ian?
I said Scotland by 15. Anyway, right, so that's us. Cheerio. Say goodbye, everyone. Before I get moaned at.
No, you're fine. You've still got a minute. Let Ed finish.
Really? All right, fine. On you.
Wales by 16.
Wales by 16. Is this going to be like that time in Italy stuffed us like 3 intercept tries in the first 7 minutes or whatever? That kind of thing. Are you going to race into a lead and then just?
I think it'll be a wildly entertaining game. That's what I think.
Well, thank you everyone for watching as it is and then listening later. Johnny, goodbye from Johnny.
Bye all.
And from Mark.
Good night. Good
and
day.
From our very, very specialist of guests, Ed Jenkins. Thank you very much for joining us, Ed.
Diolch yn fawr.
Right.
Cool. Bye everyone.
Give me a wee sec.
And then we pretend to shuffle papers and engage in banter.
And then
typing.
It's like the end of the news, isn't it?